Hi everybody, this is Gail and I'm recording your video for week 2 of HCA 616. Sorry, end of my day on Friday, a bit beat up just like you guys are, but we need to get this video done. So, thank you guys for turning in week 1 assignment. I'll be grading it this weekend and at the latest Monday. I've got some homework myself to do, so I may push it till Monday. We'll see what I can get done. And you have, of course, another paper due this week. And I have that up on screen here. And it has 3 criteria. So you'll have of course, the title of the paper. You'll have your title page on page 1. And page 2, you'll have your title of the paper, centered, bold. And then you'll come down to your first heading. And you'll actually have 3 headings dividing up organizing your paper. The first is to distinguish between your professional identity and your personal identity. So I think that if you don't understand that already, you will start to understand that more as we discuss like professional and personal boundaries. That's a big thing that separates your personal and professional identity. You have your identity that you express to others professionally and to others, in your personal life. And then you have what you see yourself also. We all see ourselves in a certain way. So when I picture myself as the professional Gail versus the wife Gail or the mother Gail or the the grandmother Gail, then those are different things that I see and try to personify and make happen so that other people receive that same thing, hopefully. But that's kind of what it's asking in number 1, is to distinguish between those 2 things, and then to bring in your Christian worldview. So in most instances, we'll say that, we don't bring in our religious views, our spiritual views into the professional workplace. But actually, there are many occasions when we do. For example, when I teach for GCU, it's actually encouraged that I bring in my Christian worldview and incorporate that in the class. Now that I'm doing counseling, I definitely incorporate that when I get the consent of the client that they want that threaded through their counseling. I take classes also at this time, and it's through a Christian college. And with every post that I do, every paper that I do, they definitely encourage that as well. So there are times when it's very appropriate. If you are working with an employee, so you're, of course, the administrator, you're working with an employee, you could ask them. It's not right to ask them what their religion is or anything like that, but if the client expresses it to you that they're Christian and maybe they're having a spiritual struggle, an ethical struggle with something that's going on with work that conflicts with their religious values, you could actually ask for their consent and say, hey, I'm a Christian too. Is it okay if we talk a little bit about that? You could ask for them that consent, and you should document that definitely in your notes that you take any time that you meet up with an employee. So you can talk about things like that, and certainly it'll be a little bit easier to talk about how you incorporate your Christian worldview into your personal identity. Another way, certainly in your professional world, that you may thread through your Christian worldview is not maybe directly in how you talk with your employees, but it's the ways, the morals, the ethics that you use when you operate as a healthcare administrator, that you're honest, that you're trustworthy, things like that. Those are ways that you would express that in your professional life as an administrator. So number 2 is discuss the components of a successful professional identity. Reflect on the professional identity you've created thus far, and which components do you feel are still lacking? So that's kind of this is where I'm at right now. These are my strong points. This is the gap, and this is, what I need to work towards, I feel like. Number 3 is explain the relationship between professionalism and integrity. And I would encourage you to look up the definition of those terms so that you truly understand them. And then discuss the relationship. So often that is I wouldn't say a compare and contrast, but you're going to have ways in which professionalism and integrity relate and ways in which you don't feel like they relate or cross over. So that's the kind of discussion that you would have. And how does that relate to self-confidence in healthcare administration? You need a lot of self-confidence to do healthcare administration. You will not only have employees, but you'll have patients, families of patients, co-workers, bosses, you'll be a boss, all of those different relationships that you'll have as a healthcare administrator. So I encourage you to look at all of those, to pay attention to your APA formatting. I'm going to be giving you detailed feedback on your papers from this past week. And look at your DQs. You will have a CAT, or what we used to call CAT, which is a reflection and inquiry, which is another opportunity for participation posts. If you are commenting on the reflection and inquiry, and that's your first post, know that that's what shows up for grading for me. So that's the first thing that you post on, is what's going to show up as your answer to the DQ. So you want to make sure whichever one that you answer first, that meets the word count and the reference, the peer-reviewed journal reference that's required. Okay? So I hope you have a great week. If you have any questions, please text me. I have missed a couple of calls this week. They weren't late. They came in about 7:30, and I turn my phone off usually around 7, and so I missed them for that reason. I tried to call back if I did. So if I miss a call, you can always leave me a text message asking me to call you back, or if there's something you can just text me about, and I'll get back with you. Please take care and God bless. Thank you.